What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, where we discuss software engineering by example. This is a vlog where we're gonna discuss the book that I am planning to write. So last week I announced that I am working on a new book, and promise you guys that I'll start working on that. So I did work on the first step, and I'm documenting all this stuff on Instagram. If you guys want to follow the process of this authoring of the book, you can follow me on Instagram, HNASR. I Whenever I had the time, I'll post the stories if I'm working on the chapters or any updates or all that kind of things, right? So yeah, do follow that. And yeah, so I did finished a first draft of the outline of this book. I do not have a title yet for this book. I want to keep myself flexible regarding that titling of this book, and I want you guys to help me maybe title this book. But I do have a clear idea of a topic regarding this book, right? So especially for the GIS folks that are following this channel, this is a book about geography and building mapping solutions, right, using JavaScript. So let's go through the outline. How about that, guys? So the book, I estimated after writing the draft, I estimated the book to be around 8 chapters and 2 appendices or appendixes, right? So that equate to around 180 pages. This is not written on stone, right? This is just a proposal, right? So this is what we're proposing. We're proposing 8 chapters and 2 appendices after I went thoroughly and clearly wrote the outline. So let's go through that. Right? How about that, guys? All right. So purpose of this book. What are we trying to write? What book are we trying to write here? Right. So writing a book for developers interested in building geo-enriched web applications that solve interesting problems using the ArcGIS API for JavaScript 4x. So I'm planning to use the 4.7. It's gonna be released somewhere this month or the next month, I think. So I don't know the exact date, but I'll use that API for development. It uses the new JavaScript ECMA 6, so I'll use all promises, all that fancy stuff, right? One of the rules: no desktop app for publishing, right? We're gonna use I'll provide the data as a sample data, and then no, the user will not need to have ArcMap or ArcPro in order to publish this data. So any user literally with just a MacBook or a PC can work on this book and just get hands-on, really, with minimum requirement. That's one of the problems that not problems, but one of the challenges that I faced, right? Writing in my previous books, where books require that in order for people to start working with the book, they have to have ArcGIS server or licenses and geodatabase and all that jazz, right? So with this, we'll talk about that more than that, but that's the idea, at least. So we want to make it anyone who can grab this book, he can learn this technology, right? Which brings us to the next point, which is I'm going to use ArcGIS Online, right? ArcGIS Online, you can subscribe for a 21 free trial, which gives you like almost full access to all the stuff, right? So you can publish data, and we're going to use that to publish data. That will be hosted as a feature service, and we can do cool stuff with it. So yeah, so that's the purpose, right? So we're going to use that. So anyone can just subscribe to ArcGIS Online. Not only that, right? So this book will be written in a way that it will be applicable for people using ArcGIS Enterprise too. So if you have your own data and you can publish it to your own portal or server, you will be able to um, you will be able to publish your own data and write the same application because it's the same exact logic, right? It's just the difference is just ArcGIS Online versus uh, Enterprise, and we're gonna add more about that in the appendix section. All right, preface, 2 pages, right? Right, always like preface is always 2 pages, 3 pages, something like that, right? So I'm going to explain the purpose of the book, why I'm writing this book, why I decided to write this book solo without a publisher. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to explain that we have much freedom in the content. I'm going to explain my journey on the YouTube and the podcast and the Instagram stories and just going full social on this stuff, right? Hustle, right? I'm also explaining that I do have a 9 to 5 job and I find the time. And people, you guys tell me all the time, how can you find the time to do all that? It's just hustling, dude. I mean, it's hard, but uh, yeah, it's just like you have to find the time to do what you intend like to do right in life. I just like this is my personality. I like to work. I like to provide. I like to give value to people, and I hope I'm doing that. Right. I'm gonna explain what I'm building. The Dark Roast web app. That's the title of the application that we're building for those who are not familiar with this channel and my personal brand in general. So it's like I don't like to teach construct and tools. I like to teach by example. So all my books are written in this manner. So what we do is we don't teach language. We don't teach tools. What I do is I pick a real life example and we build an application, full fledged application that people can actually use. And in this process, we learn the language. We learn how to build tools. Does that make sense? I hope it does, right? So I picked a Dark Roast web app, which is basically we're gonna talk more about it, right? So, but in general, it's a web application that help coffee enthusiasts to find good roast coffee shop that serves good coffee shop, right? So it's a spatial based web application. Can run on your mobile phone or can run on web application on your desktop, all that kind of stuff, right? So that beauty of that is just like this is something interesting. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a bunch of coffee stuff. Like in California, I want to visit every single good coffee shop there. So that's my ultimate goal, at least. But yeah, so yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about coffee and the make and the elevation and all that kind of stuff, right? Roasting and processing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna build some application that people can review, read, find good coffee shops, right? Coffee shop where you can go and do fancy stuff there, like work. Good coffee shop for hanging out, all that kind of stuff, right? So we'll add metadata for that. I still did not nail that story 100%, but yeah, who this book is written for, I'm gonna answer that question. It's probably for uh, intermediate beginners can read this book. Uh, Intermediate to beginners, yes, can definitely read this. You don't have to have any language, any knowledge of JavaScript or feature server ArcGIS. I'm going to explain the whole thing. So system requirements, what do you need to get started? So I'm trying to make this as minimum as possible, and that's very important. And I think this is very critical. I'd like to make this as minimum as possible, right? Because I want people with Macs to run this. Previously, like on all my books, you had to have Windows to run them. All right, and I want to link this with GitHub so people can access to the source code easily and all that fancy stuff. Chapter 1, getting started. All right, so let's get started. Chapter 1, 25 pages. That again, this is all estimates, right? This is the outline. Chapter 1, I'm in this is the getting started. In this chapter will include the necessary setup required to start authoring the web map. What software editor you need, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, whatever, right? That web server, IIS, Node.js, whatever is that, right? ArcGIS Online, setup, publishing, the sample data provided with the book. Yeah, so I'm gonna provide sample data with the book because you don't have to worry about the actual data. You just have to worry about writing the app. Okay, and we're gonna do that. Set up your favorite web server. That will be the first topic. Whether if you are in a Mac or Windows, you can pick Node.js. I'm gonna pick Node.js. But if you're in iOS, we're gonna show that too because the iOS is really easy. It's built in. Once you enable that, you just copy stuff, and it's really simple, right? But for people with Macs, this will be really nice, right? Uh, Download your favorite text editor because obviously you need to code right on something, right? We're gonna write a simple hello world application. You make sure JavaScript works, things are running, beautiful stuff. We're gonna sign up for ArcGIS Online, get a 21 free trial, and publish the dark closed web map, right? ArcGIS, which will provide data here, how to publish, and once that we're gonna show some summary about the whole thing, right? So this is just getting started. You're gonna write minimum code here, but you're gonna set up your stuff. That's the plan, at least, right? Chapter 2, you're gonna start writing code right away, right, guys? So render dark roast web map with JavaScript API. That's the first thing we're gonna write. So the baby steps, I'll show you how to with few lines of code, you will build your first map with ArcGIS JavaScript API and pull it from ArcGIS Online and display it, right? So that's that. So in order to do that, we're gonna explain what's JSON, baby. We're gonna explain JSON. What's that, right? We're gonna introduce ArcGIS API for JavaScript, which is I'm guessing again 4.7, but I'm gonna say 4.x here. But yeah, that's the latest stuff, latest and greatest. Right? I don't like to include for version numbers in my books. The reason is like they go outdated really quick. But at the same time, I think it's misleading for people. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? Any comments, by the way? Just throw it at me, right? Go crazy. I can take it. Don't worry. You can go harsh. All right. Understanding promises. This is a very important construct in JavaScript, and we need to explain it with an example before actually using it. So we're going to explain the smallest things. I mean, you can always follow my YouTube channel, YouTube series of ArcGIS JavaScript API, right? Where I actually talk about JavaScript and we actually building stuff there, right? But this is just a side stuff, right? So this book will have more details, obviously. All right. And yeah, rendering web maps. Rendering web map. So we're gonna explain how to render the web map that we just published into that. I'm gonna add a legend. I'm thinking to add more stuff here. Still don't know really. Summary. Just discuss summary. We're gonna discuss less hosted things. This is very important, by the way. Right? When you publish something to ArcGIS Online as a hosted to enable editing, because we're gonna edit this data, right? We're just not gonna view that. We're gonna edit as well. We essentially there's a Postgres database at the back end that this stuff is hosted at, right? Your data would be hosted at the Postgres database at the back end, and it will support all that kind of fancy stuff. Tabular review of coffee shops. That's the second thing. Now that I loaded the map, I loaded my coffee shops, right? I teach you how to execute the first query against the underlying hosted feature service to search for the coffee shop by name, for example, and list them in a tabular view. So you're gonna find a Starbucks, right? Dark Horse, my favorite coffee shop. If you are in San Diego, go to this. Try this out, guys. It's to die for, right? It's really cool stuff. So yeah, Dark Horse, for example, right? So people, we were used to tabular formats, like not only maps. So you'd like to see things in tabular form. You like to see lists, right? You need a list. So you search and we're going to show a list of all this stuff. So this is kind of a query. So you'll understand querying, how to query, and what table to query, and all this kind of stuff, right? And showing and displaying the fancy stuff. We're going to display to what is a feature service, because the feature service is the back end of that stuff, right? Cool stuff, right? The feature service is the hosting of that, all that beauty. Query and a point, right? I'm enjoying this, right? I don't know if I should maybe review my actual book online, like the books that I have. That's actually cool. Yeah, I don't know, guys. What do you think? Query endpoint. Query endpoint, yeah. The query endpoint, we're going to discuss that, right? The actual query REST endpoint, which allows you to enter information and return results as JSON, and then render these results, right? Again, this is exactly what you said. Mindful query, we're going to explain of make sure that every parameter you send is thoughtful. You have to think about what you're sending to the database. Make sure about the performance, right? This is things that I discuss more in the book rather than in the videos in general. But you can ask me anything, guys. This is just like whenever I just like as I dump all this mind dumb into this outline. If you need to see something else, I'll think about it and see if we can fit it in these chapters, right? So yeah, you have to think about performance. Like you cannot, like if you only need the name, this is very simple, right? If you need the name, don't select all fields, right? Something like that. Like we're displaying the coffee name, the coffee shop name. Why are you selecting? I don't know, the whole field or the whole table. View coffee shops within my X miles of my location. This is just a title for spatial queries. I want to introduce spatial queries. How can I within a certain polygon? So on this is actually a very interesting chapter. And I still did not get to that point in the videos that I'm making, like graphics and geometries. I want to do that, but there's no time. Right? Yeah, guys. Right. Yeah, so yeah, this is spatial query. I teach you the first spatial query. You will learn how to create a buffer around a point, current location, and then list the tabular view, obviously, of the results, right? We're going to learn geometries and graphic in the JavaScript API. How does a line look in a JavaScript API? Oh, how does a polygon look? How does a point look? Create a buffer, how to create a polygon buffer around an area, right? It's probably this will be around your mobile location, right? So we're gonna get the GPS location if we decided to run this in the mobile, and we will. And we'll give me the current location and show me the coffee shop within 100 miles. 100 miles, that's a lot, dude. 3 miles, right? And show me that results. Render the results both maps and tabular. Show me that. Highlight them. All that fancy stuff. Calculate direct distance in miles. I want this. Right. This is a function that this will be really cool to show by distance. Hey, by the way, there is a coffee shop, right? And these are the coffee shops, and this is like 0.5 miles from your location. This is 0.7 miles. Obviously, we're not going to actually use the actual distance because you're going to need a network data set or some sort of a solving algorithm to determine the actual route. This is just a stupid direct, right, things. Just an estimate. I think Google Map does the same thing, right? Because it's very expensive to actually calculate the actual distance, right? Unless you pre-calculate that, right? Chapter 5, reading coffee shop reviews from hosted tables. So hosted tables, they're going to introduce that. Reviews in general, so you think about that, right? If you're normalizing things. There's the restaurant, right? Or restaurant, oh god damn it. Oh man. There's a coffee shop and there are reviews. And one coffee shop can have many reviews, and each review has a user and have a rating and have comments and have attachments, and then we're going to discuss all that stuff, right? A coffee shop might have many reviews, and each review has a rating, as we said, a comment. This is why we need to store it on a separate table, and this guy does not know how to spell separate. Separate table. Separate table. All right. ArcGIS Online support hosted tables, right? It supports that, so we can publish tables. And so hosted table, going to talk about that. Query and render reviews. So this is like some kind of related tables. I do not like related stuff. I like to control everything myself with querying, right? So I rather query, right, and then request this much of the reviews, right? You can't just query list all the reviews. I rather do two queries than do godly awful relationships at the back end. I don't know. I don't like to do that. Chapter 6, rate, review, add coffee. So this is just the chapter of editing. We're gonna do editing, baby. This will be a very interesting for a lot of people, I think. Right? People would like to edit there, and you can see like I was skipping this. This is the pages. How many pages I'm estimating for each. 25. Editing, one of the most interesting things in the GIS world. If your application is built on contribution from user community or some small well-controlled editors, you will need to support editing on your map. This chapter will introduce editing. So create a new feature with geometry, create new rows. That's a review, basically, which is just a simple row, right? And building editing experience, we're going to build the actual editing experience. How can you edit all this stuff, right? So there are forms, there are UI, UX, user experience, user interface. Object storage, upload coffee pictures, right? So you go, take a fancy picture of your fancy coffee with all the coffee art. You want to upload it to the app, right? So you need some sort of a mechanism to do that. So we need to store those. I show you in this chapter how to upload images to features to ArcGIS Online and link them to, what does that mean? Upload images to ArcGIS Online, get a link, and then upload that image, link that image to the feature. So we're going to discuss object as content on ArcGIS Online, upload image to ArcGIS Online. So this chapter might be different. Actually, not really. This, whatever you do, whatever code we write in ArcGIS Online should work on Enterprise, but we will discuss that as well. So link the feature to an image, and then we'll discuss summary. Final touches and dark roast web application. This will be around 15 pages. I'll use this chapter to clean up any leftover bugs, CSS, better UX, better beautiful stuff, right? And we can add more stuff that we missed there. So this is just a draft, guys, right? Appendix A, download ArcGIS API for X to work offline. We're gonna discuss how to work offline because ArcGIS JavaScript API, there's an online version of that, and there is an offline version, and I don't want to actually include the ArcGIS offline. Maybe I'll show you guys how to do it, but I'll rather use the online version for simplicity. But this appendix would be how to use offline, because if you want to work on intranet, like your application is on your company, and you want to work offline, so this application will do it for you. Rework dark rows so you don't have to public API. Yes, okay. Appendix B will be dedicated for ArcGIS Enterprise, which is used to be known as ArcGIS Server / Portal. Right now we call it ArcGIS Enterprise. This will be on 10.6 probably. Right, rework dark rows so it works with ArcGIS Enterprise instance instead of ArcGIS Online. So that I'm explaining 4 pages, and yeah. What do you think, guys? That's the book, around 180 pages, right? So I'll start working on that, right, in the coming week. So next, I'm promising you a schedule, right? I need to build myself. I need to clean this up, right? This is the outline, right? Taking the outline, you're gonna build a schedule. This is just usually this is what the publisher does, but I need to build a schedule even for myself just to stay committed to this thing, right, guys? And yeah, I'm just giving myself like a 2 weeks per chapter to provide each draft for each chapter, and then estimate a delivery date. So I still can't give any dates really, guys, but once I build a schedule, I'll publish the schedule, and you guys will find out soon. All right, guys, that is all for me. There is a lot of content going on. making a lot of podcasts, right? Talking about software engineering in general. Uh, so still, we're publishing videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think, yeah, three videos a week. I'm keeping that up, right? So yeah, and I'm gonna see you in the next one, guys. I hope you enjoyed that small video, just a review. I know it's a bit long, but yeah, it's exciting stuff. Can't wait. All right, guys. I gotta see you in the next one. Goodbye.